Are you sitting around waiting for the playoffs to start? Well, we've got you covered. Introducing the LEC Playoffs Playset. Take control of your favorite players from the comfort of your own home.
Whoa, I'm gonna Tristana jump into 5 people. That's so cool. I'm gonna throw a 10k gold lead at Elder Dragon.
But that's not all. The Playoffs Playset now comes with the all-new Light-Up LEC Studio, where you can compete against the best on stage.
I think we can call this a close match. I think we can call it your grave. Curse your sudden but inevitable victory.
Rewrite the narrative your way with our attachable casting desk and caster pack.
Today's banger series is between Fnatic and Vitality. I'm so excited for this to begin. I'm the better jungler. No, I'm the better jungler. Guys. I'm the better jungler.
Get immediate post-match reactions.
So tell me, Blippo, how are you feeling? Wow, so insightful.
Lift the trophy and write your team into the history books.
Now I can make playoffs every season.
You decide who takes the crown with the new LEC Playoffs Playset. This product is not available anywhere as this is not for sale. Any attempt to buy the product will not work because it is not real.
I think Keijo was a great jungler before he retired. I watched all his VODs to learn how to role swap to jungle. Yeah, ever since he joined the caster team, he's been one of the best analysts we've ever had. Aw, thanks guys.
Welcome to Berlin, Germany for the opening day of the LEC Summer Playoffs. This is the final stretch on the road to Worlds, and over the next 3 weeks, 6 teams will fight for the honor of representing EU and to be crowned as the newest LEC champions. Now Misfits, their return to the top this summer, that was a very pleasant surprise, and today they take on the #1 seed Rogue in our opening series. The players are arriving, they're gonna get tested, and then they're gonna play the games. I'm Sjokz, covering the action. What?
It's like you're like getting tested.
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, it's just part of everyday life nowadays, right? Anyways, I'm Sjokz, and I'm here alongside Drakos and the player who always remembers to fill out his Steuererklärung, Astralis' jungler Zanzarah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Awesome to have you.
Thank you.
And Drakos, you wanted to say something about his name?
Yeah, so as you guys know, casters have a long history of mispronouncing things and not calling players what they want to be called, notably around Worlds, almost exclusively Worlds. Apparently it's been happening domestically for the entire season, because I thought we were supposed to be calling you Zanzarah, and then you told me it's Zanza.
No, you can go like both ways, but Zanz is like most common one, and I like it more.
Zanza.
Zanza.
No,
yeah,
Okay,
right.
got it.
Zanza.
Okay, Zanza it is. So let's take a look at the standings and how we got here, because last week we completed the regular season with Vitality clinching a playoff spot and transcending into the playoffs, and Rogue finishing in first place. Zanza, you were of course in that knot, you know, also vying for that last playoff spot, but it was in the end Astralis that took it, that didn't take it, Vitality that took it over Astralis and Excel.
Yeah, I mean, I can say I made it to playoffs. Astralis didn't make it, yeah. I think Vitality just deserved more. Yeah, we're a bit shocked last week, I would say, but I think Vitality can do great in this playoffs, and it's well deserved for them.
And hey, 20% of Astralis is more than 0% of Excel, so it's progress, certain to be said, but it was an incredibly tight race, and it even came down to, for Vitality, it wasn't really in their hands at the end of the day. No. Excel versus G2, if Excel had won that game, Excel would have been the team to be here. Vitality ultimately needed G2 to win. That is how close it was, that their fate really wasn't in their own hands.
No, it wasn't. What a tight race it was just a week and a half ago. But now we're in the playoffs, and of course, as we look at the top of the tables, with the points that they acquired in spring, Rogue also secured the top seed going into the playoffs, followed by Mad Lions by G2 Esports. And due to Misfits earning more championship points in summer, they finished above Fnatic in the seeding for playoff, Drakos, which is so important because that slotted Misfits into the upper bracket.
Yeah, upper bracket massive for a number of things, whether it be world qualification or just the fact that you get to lose a best of 5 and still get a chance to play League of Legends in the playoffs. The difference between being top 4 and being 5th and 6th is massive, and Fnatic are going to feel that on Sunday and through the entire rest of the bracket, because if they want to make it to Worlds, it is such an uphill battle for them now.
And the TLDR, which we'll talk about later as well, is if you're in the upper bracket this weekend and you win your series, you are in the World Championship. But there's also the lower bracket. And Zanza, I want to ask you, you said, well, Vitality deserved it, getting into the playoffs. Do you think they have what it takes to make a run in that lower bracket, or do Fnatic?
I still think Fnatic is just better team, but overall I think both teams have similar playstyle. But I would say Fnatic just have an advantage in a personal skill level on lanes, so they should get like this series should be pretty easy for them, I think.
What do you think about that, Matt?
I mean, I think overall it's been a very chaotic season for both these teams, but for Fnatic, they spent about 70% of it neck and neck with Rogue in first place, while Vitality have just been all over the place across the entire season. They just recently swapped back to Segenda from SLT, so right now, Fnatic feels like the more stable bet. That said, both these teams incredibly volatile, incredibly explosive, and obviously with Adam unfortunately playing away from the team, there are a lot of variables here that are going to make this match and series more difficult for Fnatic than it might have been otherwise.
Yeah, there is information online on Fnatic's Twitter if you want to know about the Adam situation specifically. But Zanzarah, do you think the fact that Fnatic, even though they fell in the last couple of weeks, the fact that they, in the beginning of the split, I remember us saying, oh my God, Fnatic has not played this good in a long, long time. Do you think it'll be enough time for them to show that again in the best of 5?
Yeah, I think they have everything. I think like Vitalis have the same problems. They were like flipping a lot of games, and overall I think Fnatic have like much more chances. They have like 2 weeks. You can fix a lot of things in 2 weeks.
You can.
So yeah, I think they can do it. Even though they have problems with Adam with the COVID situation, I think they're still just much better team.
And who's the better jungler between Selfmade and Whippo?
Still self-made.
Still
yeah.
Selfmade. Okay, gotta give it to him. We'll talk more in depth about that as we get to Sunday, but let's talk about our first 2 series, as there is more than just advancement up for grabs. Rogue, Mad Lions, G2 and Misfits, they all have the chance to secure a spot at Worlds. Only 1 win stands in their way. So I wanted to open a conversation about the teams in the summer playoffs and who we would possibly be most excited to see at the World Championship. 6 teams, 3 tickets, Sansa. Who are you rooting for?
I put everything on Rock, of course. I think it's easy choice. I think one of the best, if not the best team with early game, always have a lead at 15. Every player is like top 2, I think, if not the best on their role. And I think their jungle mid support synergy is actually insane. I think the Rock is the best chance for you to show up on Worlds, and I think they can match LPL aggression for sure.
Why do you think they specifically can match LPL aggression? Because it's not always something that we identify with Rogue being aggression.
Yeah, but I think they worked a lot this year in terms of getting early lead, and they just need to close out the game properly. If they can fix it to Worlds, everything is good.
And do you think that they have enough in their toolbox, meaning can they play enough different styles for a World Championship?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we'll see this playoffs. I think they should show up something new if they want to win LEC, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. For Rogue, it would obviously be awesome to get another chance in their new configuration. Are you on the Rogue boat as well?
I mean, generally, yes, I believe in Rogue, but I'm a bit more basic in my choice. You know, get me the pumpkin spice latte, get me the Uggs. I'm gonna go G2, and not because they're G2, because I guarantee they're still gonna disappoint you. That is the one thing that they have done consistently internationally, but they've also impressed, of course, at MSI. But the big thing that I've been waiting for an entire year, and I was denied at MSI, is Perks versus Caps in the mid lane. So Cloud9, please. Get in the same group as G2. I just want to see this every chance I can get. And if you're not going to get in the same group, please see each other in best of 5, because all I want is the revenge match. I want Sven Perks coming up against Reckless Caps. That is my European fanboy dream.
That is great. I mean, you just you know, if they both get to Worlds, just because of the memes, the chances are so high that they get drawn into the same group, right?
Yeah, it has to happen.
It has to happen.
I don't get to write the script, but if anyone out there does, that's what we want.
If there is someone out there. Zanza, what do you think in general about G2 and with this roster, if you look at the entire year and how they could do at Worlds?
Hard to say. I'll be honest, first half of the split was really shaky, I think. But second half, like, they have like 8-1, I think. They lose only one game. I think they're looking pretty stable. And I think they're still worse than Rock, in my opinion. But they have a chance. I mean, I think they will make Worlds. But we'll see what they can improve.
Okay, luckily for them, they're not playing Rogue right now. Tomorrow, G2 is going to look to book their flight to Worlds 2020 as they face off against the reigning champions Mad Lions, though. So what do you think about that matchup with really, you know, a clash of the newer generation versus the older generation?
Yeah, I mean, we heard like a lot about Mad Lions. We're cheating right now. We're going to be better in the playoffs. So this is time. This is time to be better. This is time to improve. So we'll see if they can
Don't seem that confident.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat. I think of all of our series this weekend, this one is the biggest mystery because both these teams are so highly variable in the level that they showed in the regular season. And G2, we've kind of always trusted them when they've been figuring stuff out. And Mad Lions, I mean, they have a laundry list of reasons why they could have struggled on stage, from the quarantine situations to, you know, struggling with burnout from playing at MSI. So these 2 weeks, as you mentioned earlier, a lot can change in 2 weeks. So what I'm hoping for more than anything is a very close clash, but I don't think there is a safe bet in this series, and that's unique. Everywhere else, Fnatic, easy bet. Rogue, easy bet. Here, I don't think there is a safe bet.
You actually have a fun stat about the ranking between them, the record rather.
Overall, in best of fives, they're 2-2 in series, but they're actually 9-8 in games. So if you remember, the first time that G2 lost a best of five domestically was actually to the Mad Lions, and the only reason there's that game difference is because instead of it being a 3-1, as it has been in every other series, it was 3-2. Slightest thing, if you remember that game 5, Shadow's Olaf popping off, ultimately wins the day. But if Matt had just been a little bit cleaner, and they got the 3-1, they would have been tied 8-8. We could have had the tiebreaker tomorrow.
But I think they were happy that they won the series
the win
regardless.
is more important than the game
it's pretty important. Humanoid versus Cavs, that is all tomorrow. But now it's time to get some hard-hitting facts thrown in our faces as we leave the mic to your favorite taxman in Zanzarah's corner.
People in LEC are too greedy to pay taxes.
There's a lot of Americans, man. What is this? And this is like for sure bottom team.
Let's go to the stars!
Finally, we have time to talk about the best champion in the meta, and it's not Skarner, it's a Trundle. Trundle, even Astralis have 80% win rate. I think Trundle just really good champion right now. There is a lot of melee champions in meta, so he can counter most of them. And he, of course, he got like four buffs in his W from Riot. I just appreciate that. And if you buy Thunder, if you max W, you just smash your people, your enemies, bite them just to death. And of course, you can flex it. You can play top, mid, support, jungle. You can play AD carry. AD carry is useless. But all around, guys, Trundle is the best champion. If you want to climb, if you want to win, just pick it. And maybe Misfits can pick it, and maybe they can get some games versus Rock.
With you right now. That's awesome.
Oh, bonk.
Yeah, bonk. Bonk, indeed. Thank you very much. I am sure one of the teams is going to pick it today because how can you not? We'll be on the lookout for some Trundle tonight when Rogue and Misfits kick off the LEC Summer Playoffs.
I feel like every split we slowly improved, and I feel like from how the script says that I think we will win this finals.
And now he's in the perfect spot. Inspired just reads them. Crescent Guard's gonna knock back Nisky, not and so low. But Inspired! How are you this spot, man? That was so flipping good!
I've been in playoffs so many times in my career. This time I feel like it's my time, and I feel like we can make it all the way to actually win it.
1, 2, 3, roll! Now getting ready to get the fight off, and LeBron instantly gonna get a clean engage! Here we go! Wombo combo Misfits! They're playing with fire, but Kave is firing back. Big damage now coming in.
This playoffs, I'm so excited to play it again because I didn't play for like 2 splits, you know.
this playoff will be different because we are here and I'm playing it.
Vito cleans up Adam and Kobe is still healthy. Whippo now trying to do what he can to keep Misfits at bay, but their appointments are all booked up and Dr. Mundo goes down.
Every best of 5 will be really interesting between this top 5.
It's an exciting feeling to be in playoffs again. It's all or nothing now for us. It's exciting to feel this pressure again.
What a great matchup, and you just hear it, the combination of the younger players, and that was not a pun on the air, even though it came out that way. The combination of the younger players and the more experienced players who all have that same hunger to make it to the finals and to make it to Worlds. Now, Rogue, this is a story of a long-term development. They were 5th, they were 4th, they were 3rd, they were 2nd, and then they almost won the trophy, but they didn't. And for me, for them, it's all about, you know, that road back to a possible final and a rematch.
Certainly, and Rogue, yeah, as you mentioned, you know, steady improvement. Obviously, it's very nicely highlighted by those sequential one-at-a-time place increases, but overall, constant growth has been the story for this team. They've gotten a little bit better every single season. They swapped out Finn, they got out of Wamnate, Trimby. Yes, his first split was rough, but by the time playoffs rolled around, he did incredibly on an individual level. This team keeps getting better, and they've been the consistent kings of the regular season. Now we just need to see how it'll work in playoffs.
Oh, no doubt. They are so good in best of one, Zanza. But what do you think they have improved at coming into these best of 5s this time around?
I think overall Rogue start focusing more on early game. Even before they were a pretty decent team in early game, but right now they're in drafts and their play style, they're trying to get free pushing lanes, trying to get better jungle matchups just from the early minutes of the game, just playing for enemy camps. And we see this. This is like 3k lead at 15 every single game. So I think this is the main difference of Rogue, and this is why I think they have the best chances out of every team in Worlds.
Do you think it's specifically the combination of Rogue being a team that is tactically very good, that usually makes the right decisions on the map, and them having an early game lead, meaning that they're pretty unbeatable when they do get that lead?
No, I think overall I would point that they have like really strong jungle support mid, and this is why they get lead in early game, and this is why they're like that strong right now, and they can just get lead every game, doesn't matter who's opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not a perfect team. Most certainly, they do still have issues. They do still get a little bit too confident, a little bit, I don't want to say it's cockiness, but I think coaches have described it as sometimes they forget that their lead is not infallible, and they will throw games away, and they'll risk games. And you saw that in week 2 when they played against Misfits. They gave away a couple Barons they absolutely didn't need to. A wonderful Crow Storm ended up being the factor that turned it around. But overall, Rogue are an incredible powerhouse of a team because of that early game.
Mm-hmm. And when we talk about the early game, we have to talk about the jungler. And now that we have a jungler here as well, I'd love to ask you what it is about Inspired that makes him so good, because we have a hard time putting it into words or putting it into statistics, but you just know he is, right? What is it?
Jungle diff, it's always support diff. This is important. Okay. Just Trubby just too good. What is it's easy to play for jungle, but on Sjokz side, Inspired is really good. I think he's just like one of the smarter junglers, and he's scouting a lot by himself. So he is always choosing a really good path to play according to his draft strengths. So this is like all around just make Rogue is really flexible, I think, overall in draft and in game, and they can adapt to like every situation pretty fast.
Yeah, it looks like it, and Inspired a part of that strong early game for Rogue. And let's get a closer look at Rogue's early game in LEC Playbook.
How do Rogue consistently find early game advantages? It all starts with their drafting tendencies. Rogue put heavy focus on having lanes that have priority, or in other words, lanes that are able to push in their opponents. This frees up their jungler, Inspired, as lanes that have priority have the ability to move first or just limit their opponents from moving, thus giving him more options in the early game where he can look to get double scuttle, secure neutral objectives, or invade the enemy jungler. In their week 1 match versus XL, and with 3 priority lanes, Inspired is easily able to find Zanzarah in his jungle, and then secures both scuttle crabs. Dan can't contest scuttle crabs, as this could lead to him being collapsed by Rogue's members who can push in early. In their week 4 match against Mad, we see a similar trend. After spotting the early gank attempt, Inspired has the level lead to be able to invade Elioya. He can do this because his pushing lanes will prevent Mad's players from helping out their jungler. This leads to a blue buff steal, and then both scuttles secured for Inspired, catapulting him to an early gold and experience lead. Having priority in lanes also allows other lanes to move out first and collapse on other parts of the map to look for kills or just to zone opponents away from gold and experience. Rogue will usually have at least 2 lanes with priority, and one of them is always bot lane. In their Week 4 match against Mad Lions, Rogue jumped to an early game lead, but lost it shortly after being out-skirmished by the current LEC champions. To get back into the game, Rogue shifted their attention away from the bot lane. They freed up Trimby and left Hans to farm up gold and experience alone, and instead looked for an angle in the top lane, where they won the skirmish to drop Herald for the first turret. This knock-on effect also pulls Carzzy away from mid, allowing Larssen to grab plates for himself. A few minutes later, and instead of opting for a cross-map play to get Dragon and trade side lane turrets, Rogue opted to defend and use Galio's semi-global ultimate to create a numbers advantage and punish Mad again. This gave Rogue a 2000 gold lead despite being down 1000 gold just 4 minutes earlier. And in their Week 5 match against Misfits, they showed something completely different from their usual style. Going up against a roster that puts heavy emphasis on Herit as one of their main carries, Rogue shifted their attention to top lane to shut him down and picked a more self-sufficient bot lane pick in Ziggs. When faced with the prospect of losing the first turret to a Herald push, Rogue used their teleport advantage to move Ziggs to top lane and destroy it first, while the rest of the team defended the bot lane turret in what was a smart cross-map play.
Incredibly strong early game and ability to adapt coming out of Rogue to each situation. And as we jump into their opponents, I want to put your attention on some things in which both teams and organizations mirror each other. Starting with the stories of the teams, Rogue's journey has been a very steady climb, but for Misfits, I feel like it's been a decline, unfortunately. Since 2017, Drakos, we all remember Misfits, the upstarts, they're rookies, they make it to Worlds, they play versus SKT, and they almost do the unthinkable. And they don't.
Challenger to Worlds, 2 incredible seasons. Yeah, but ultimately they don't. They fall just a little bit short. You look back at this as one of the best and also one of the worst series by how close it was. But this is the moment that defined Misfits and has continued to define Misfits over the years simply because there has been nothing else to replace it in the highlight reel. We have seen time and time again, Caster Buzzword, my personal favorite, that they have gotten such incredible starts, ultimately only to fail out. 2018 summer, Mage bot lane meta. You might remember Bwipo and Hylissang were playing together. It was a great time for so many teams, and for Misfits especially. They defied the trend. It was Hansama, Draven, Morgana, killing people in lane. It was a beautiful thing to watch, but just as quickly as it started, it fell apart. And the same thing happened in 2019. A super team on paper, probably, don't know this for sure, one of the most expensive rosters we've ever seen in the LEC, instantly crashed and burned. I think it was a 4-0 start for the team into just failure after failure after failure. So 2017 is the highlight because there's nothing else to replace it.
Yeah, and that's what is so sad about this fantastic organization up until this point, I think, because they have stuck with this roster. They have made changes here and there, but they have stood behind their rookies also in VTO and tried to work on this project, which has brought them very comfortably into the playoffs, Zanzarah. What is your general opinion on Misfits and how they have developed throughout summer and how they're stepping into these playoffs?
Yeah, I think for me personally, the first half of the season, it was full Razork show. I think he consistently was able to give VTO and Herit lead, and just with that, they just 2v8 the game easily. So for me, Misfits is just a team about top side. If Razork can open up VTO or Herit and then just move with them around the map and just help bot lane to survive, then Misfits are pretty comfortable in teamfights. I think they have like really good teamfights overall. This is why they're like that high. But other than that, they have actually like weak point on both sides, and versus Rockets could be a problem.
Yeah, they also have the worst early game of any team coming into the playoffs, which is very, very tricky. But luckily we have some insider info because Laure is standing by their assistant coach.
And thank you, Sjokz and Xani. Thank you so much for joining me. First, congrats on winning the LFL yesterday. I get you've been watching the games with your team. How did you react to the victory?
Honestly, I was super happy for them. Last played when I was their coach of the academy. We couldn't unfortunately make these results. And when I left, they were happy for me for joining the LEC. And I told them, without me, for sure you guys will win because I have sort of a curse, let's say. So I told them they will win. And fortunately, with Hiva, he did a great job. They managed to win. So I was super happy for them.
It was a beautiful victory and a beautiful series overall. And I think it's a very big week for Misfits, actually, when you think of the both teams. You'll be playing Rogue Rogue today on your first ever playoff series with this team. First, how did you react when they chose you? I guess it didn't come off as a surprise, maybe.
I mean, when they chose us, obviously it didn't come as a surprise, thinking about the fact that like we are the least experienced team, and I don't think anyone is going into playoffs and choose to play against G2, who are the most decorated team in Europe. So I think that was natural, and we were expected to be chosen. So we were ready, and we're ready to play against Rogue, basically.
Understandable. And as you said, I think they chose you based on inexperience in a way. And as I said, you will be playing your very first best-of-5 series with this team. First playoff series with this team. I mean, and there's a world ticket at the end of this series if you win. How did you manage expectations with the team and players this week so they would be ready and not be overwhelmed by the amount of pressure maybe coming out of this series against Rogue?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think basically the whole split, I think we've been underdogs. And I think in this series, again, we are underdogs. I think everyone is coming in, like everyone watching is thinking, oh, Rogue is the favorite, Rogue will win. And honestly, this is the position we are feeling the most comfortable in, the most confident in. We are the underdogs. We sort of have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And that's our mentality going into today, basically.
Do you think it's helpful to know that even if you lose today, you still have a backup plan and you can bounce back next week?
I mean, that was what we were telling players before the last week of LEC, that we need to secure this fourth seed for two reasons. One was if we win one best-of-5, we're at Worlds, which is absolutely mind-blowing. And then second, if we lose, we get that extra experience, and hopefully it can help us through the rest of the playoffs.
Now, when you think about Rogues in best-of-5, what is the biggest challenge you against them? You played them in best-of-1s, you saw them play in spring in best-of-5s. Now it's your turn, so...
I mean, I think like the stats show as well, we've seen their excellent early game team. So I think it's the biggest challenge is what we've been sort of preparing, what we've been working on, and just making sure if we can match them in the early game or if we can get an advantage in the early game. I think we are confident that like when it comes to the mid game, macro, the team fighting, I think we got it. So it's all about whether we can get to that point.
Well, we'll keep an eye out on the early game. Xani, thank you so much for the interview and best of luck today against Rogue. And Sjokz, back to you.
Thank you very much, Laure. I love your outfit, by the way. But we're hearing it echoed there as well from the coaching staff, being that, yes, we are the underdogs, and yes, the early game will be the most important thing. We are actually pretty comfortable in team fights, as you said. So what does this man then have to do? Razork up against Inspired, who you just sang his praises as, you know, a great jungler. What is his game plan?
It's actually hard for him. From my perspective, he has two choices. He can try to snowball his top lane, so he just play for it, or he can try to stop blinding on bot lane. So this is hard choice. This is really a tough situation for the jungler perspective. But I think the best if they draft for good to V2 mid and Razor can start to snowball VTO, and then if they together just play to stop bleeding on bot lane, then they have the best chances, I think.
And I think when you talk about Misfits early game, you talk about Razork. This is the man who has to get it done, whether it's on Trundle or anything else. This is the guy, insanely high kill participation in the early game, like 80% in their wins. If he is not fighting and killing people, nobody on the map is dying in favor of Misfits. So tons of pressure wherever he decides to play. If Misfits are going to survive the early game, weather the storm, as we heard the staff want to do, then it's all eyes on him, and that is a lot of pressure.
Yeah, menacing video there, but he seems to be feeling okay. Now, you've mentioned a couple of times, Zanzarah, okay, trouble down in the bottom lane, perhaps a deficit. Talk to me about Hansama versus Kabi and why you think it's going to be a problem for Misfits.
Yeah, for me, I think after Fnatic bot lane, I think they're the best. The second one is Rock. I think they're consistently showing they want to play aggressive. They even draft for that. They pick Draven. If it's open, they try to counter-pick support a lot of times. And I think they're not scared to just get elite. They're just going for kills. You know, if they know they're stronger, they're just abusing this. But on Misfits side, Kobe and Vander, they're trying to like survive. Almost every game, they're like in deficit, and they're just trying to play for mid game.
Ooh, Drakos, I really like how he put that. Playing just to survive versus playing to change the game.
Yeah, but I think they're no stranger to just surviving. They are a weak side bottom lane. They don't get a lot of jungle attention, but at the same time, we've seen that Misfits, when they've tried to play through bot side, this is what's concerning. When they've tried to go bot lane, it hasn't worked. It has not worked when they've tried to funnel resources into Kabe. Yes, he's so good in those team fights, but he just cannot be an early game carry if that's what the team requires.
Yeah, mirrored stories, mirrored strengths in terms of the early game versus team fighting. But the same story for these two, wanting to hold that trophy, wanting to win the championship. Unfortunately, Misfits are underdogs. Is that going to be reflected here in the predictions? Zanzarah, who's taking it away?
For me, it's 3-1 Rock. I think only way how... I mean, Misfits should take one game. I think just because Razo can carry for sure, but Rock just better team all around.
Yeah, I think 2016 was the year of Kabe, 2017 was the year of Hansama, but now in 2021, it is definitely Hansama's time. Again, this man is playing out of his mind. I think Rogue 3-0, no question for me. They are just the stronger team across the board.
All right, LEC Discord channel also 3-0 for Rogue Savages over there. But, you know, we've had an upset here or there in the LEC before. Now, both of these teams, they have been at the cusp of the LEC title in the past. And tonight, one of them will take a huge step towards the final and secure a spot at Worlds 2021. It's time for the LEC Summer Playoffs.
Yeah, you know, I don't really do this too often. We good for real. Just watch. Yeah, hey, how you gon' feel when I take it? How you gon' feel when I take it?
Another name on the list. It's all too easy for Rogue.
We about action, we don't say. Coming for the crown, I need my fit. I don't stay in rooms that I don't fit in. She swear that I stay up on her mind like a fitted. Ain't that cash, she probably wouldn't give me time.
Misfits make a miracle happen.
I need all formalities, I need all incentives. This money's about the only thing on mine, like my business. That's black on, the type of wave I've been on. And it's always got to crash like it's Windows. Need all of that and more, give me all the gold. Give me one play, I'm on 24, Kobe right in that hour. It's like got all of that power, that's me. I carry loaded team, I get that real MVP. Know that they envy me just like cement, I'm in these streets. No opportunity.
G2 is here, and G2 will take the fight.
I know that win all mine, I'ma keep it, baby. How you gon' feel when I take it? How you gon' feel when I take it?
And the new era of European League of Legends, it is the Mad Lions.
How you gon' feel when I take it? How you gon' feel when I take it? We about action, we don't say we about action. Tell me how you gon' feel. When I take your spot, tell me how you gon' feel.
Vitality, control, alt, delete.
Only thing I need is time and the rest is on chill. When I take your spot, tell me how you gon' feel.
No matter what you do, Fnatic will find you.
Tell me when I take your spot, tell me how you gon' feel. Tell me how you gon' feel. How you gon' feel when I take it? How you gon' feel when I take it? We about action, we don't say. We about action, tell me how you gon' feel.